Good morning, everybody, and thanks for joining us here at Oakridge Student Ministries. First, I want to say a huge happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And this week, we're jumping into the last week. We're finally getting to the last week of our Easter series called Who is Jesus? And over the last few weeks, we've been learning more about who Jesus really is and what that means to us. And we've talked about how it's okay, and in fact, so important. I believe it is so important to ask questions like, who is Jesus? Ask those basic questions. If you have them, ask them, because those are the ways that you and we will grow in our faith. Now, I want to know this. How many of you have someone in your life who just gets you? That friend who understands without a word? That sibling who always knows what you're thinking and maybe just pokes the bear a little bit too much. That person in your life who just knows you and that you can be yourself around, no questions asked. Now, maybe you know where I'm going with this. We are at church and all, but I don't think I have to say that Jesus can be this person to all of us. I hope you know that already. Jesus can be that person that just understands us, the one who gets us. Well, I don't have to say it, but I really want to remind you that we are talking about this, that we're discussing the fact that Jesus can be that person for you. Jesus is the one who really understands you. Now, let me just address the really obvious question. If we're going to talk about all the questions, let's address some of them right up front. How can a guy who lived 2,000 years ago understand the things that we're going through today, here, now? That's a really good question. I mean, what does Jesus really know about any of the things that we struggle with today? Did all of his friends say they were too busy to hang out, but then post when they were hanging out with other people or hanging out together without me? Did he get called on in class and then blurt out the wrong answer and was super embarrassed? Did he get cut from the team? Did his classmates make fun of him? Did his parents get divorced? Did his siblings fight with him all the time? Maybe you can relate. Or maybe you're even dealing with those things and it just feels way more difficult. Maybe it's something that nobody even knows about. So let me be more specific. Close your eyes and think of one area in your life where you need someone to understand. Something in your world that you just wish someone else would get. Got it? Okay, open your eyes. The truth is, there's always going to be trouble somewhere in our lives. We're all going to face it. And in these moments, we need someone who really gets it and gets us. But honestly, it just doesn't always feel like Jesus is that someone. Maybe you found yourself wondering if God even notices or cares about the trouble you have to deal with. When it comes to the hard stuff in life, how can Jesus be the one who understands it if it doesn't seem like he's even there for you? Well, it may surprise you to know that while Jesus was on earth, he had plenty of experience with trouble. I know because his followers took time to write down everything they saw Jesus do and experience. When we read about Jesus' life in the Bible, we're reading about real things that really happened to a real person who really lived. You get it? The more I read about Jesus, the more I know him. And for me, knowing Jesus changes everything. And what I've learned from getting to know more about Jesus is that when it comes to trouble, he saw it all. Have you ever been ditched by your friends? So was Jesus. Have you ever felt like everybody hates you? Yeah, Jesus knows that one too. Have you ever been sad or alone or scared or tired or hungry or tempted to do something you know you shouldn't do or be frustrated or hurt? All of these things. Jesus dealt with them too. I don't know about you, but I don't always think about Jesus as struggling or having troubles. Sometimes it's really easy to forget that Jesus was a real person who had real life experiences and real difficulties. So let me start by looking at something Jesus said about the troubles that we might face in this life. A guy named John, one of his followers, wrote down this statement that Jesus made to his friends in John chapter 16, verse 33. He says, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world." Okay, so let's look at the hard stuff first. One thing that's guaranteed in life is trouble. It's part of life. So much so that Jesus made sure his followers knew it. In this world, we will all have trouble. And that by itself is a real bummer, frankly. Thank goodness that's not where Jesus left it. See, when it comes to our troubles, it's not just that Jesus has been there too. Here, Jesus says he has been there and then he's conquered it. That means Jesus not only gets how we feel, but he can help us deal with it. Sometimes he uses his people to support us. Sometimes he uses the Bible, his word, to help us find peace and comfort. Sometimes he uses his commandments to help us stay away from troubles. Those thou shalt nots, or the thou shalls, those are commandments that help us stay out of trouble that we so desperately sometimes want to get ourselves into. And sometimes he uses his spirit in our lives to make us stronger and help encourage us when we're facing hard times. I don't know what it looks like in your life or what the trouble you're facing is, but here's what I know for sure. No matter what it is, Jesus gets what you're going through, and he can help. Does that mean that everything will always be easy? Unfortunately not. Remember, Jesus told us that trouble was something that we could expect in this world. But that's not where the story ends, because whatever we've faced, Jesus has faced it too. And not just that, he handled it. He conquered it. And that means that he can help us conquer it too. Think of it this way. Because of Jesus, you're never alone. When you face trouble, when you feel left out or misunderstood, when you're struggling with something that's bigger than you can deal with alone, you've got Jesus, the friend who came to earth to experience it with you, the friend who understands, the friend who gets it, the friend who doesn't want to leave you alone in the middle of it. Because of Jesus, we are never alone. I want you to think about an area in your life where you are experiencing trouble. Take a second to do that. Where are you experiencing trouble this week? Now, I want you, with that in mind, I want to challenge you to try these three things in this area. First, I want you to talk to Jesus. Sometimes the word pray sounds so fancy we don't even want to try it, right? Well, praying is just talking to Jesus. So this week, when you find that moment where you're having a hard time, you're struggling, having trouble, you've embarrassed yourself in class, been there, done that. I want you to take time to talk to Jesus. And if you're not comfortable talking out loud, then write it down. Or just pray in your head. Take a note on your phone. No matter how you pray, Jesus is listening. And he wants to be there for you no matter what you're going through. Secondly, talk to his people about your troubles. Have you ever had a real friend show up for you when you were down? It always helps, right? A lot of times, Jesus uses his people to help us overcome whatever we're facing. But there has to be a first step for you. You need to first step into that relationship. You need to invest in that so that you have a real friend. A real relationship involves give and take. Lastly, be with others when they hurt. You've got to give too before you can take or while you take. Remember Jesus' words. In this world you will all have trouble. That means all of us. So there's a good chance that someone near you, someone sitting beside you, someone in your text messages is going through something too. And maybe one of the ways Jesus shows up this week is through you. This week, try checking on your friends. Send a text. Offer someone encouragement. Pray for them. Pray with them. The truth is that when you show up for someone who's hurting, it helps them to see that they're never alone too. You get to be Jesus for them. You get to show them Jesus's love. It is so normal to feel like you're alone whenever you're going through hard times. Even if you're a room full of people, it can feel like nobody really gets you. That's why I think that knowing Jesus changes everything. It can change how you feel, how you treat people, and even how you handle trouble or tough times. Remember, because of Jesus, we're never alone. And as we wrap up today, I want you to think about this question. What's one area of your life where you need somebody who truly understands?